Princess Connect Redive is an anime based on a gacha RPG game, which I think is the sequel to a different gacha RPG game that does not have an anime dedicated to it. Now, normally I start these by telling you what the show is about, but to be entirely honest, I'm not sure I fully know. So I'm going to say what I think it's about, and keep in mind I could be entirely wrong. But from what it seems, the main character, arguably, has amnesia, and he was a hero from sort of like the distant past, and the goddess, who may not actually be a goddess, ends up sending him down to the world where he gets picked up by just the cutest little elf girl who makes like the most adorable little expressions, and picks him up because she was sent there by like her village elder, which this is not elaborated on, so I'm not sure how her village elder knew he was going to be sent there. Because she doesn't seem to know anything really about him or the goddess or any of the characters with connections to him, but she did know he would be there, and she was specifically sent there to serve him. So I'm not fully sure what's going on with that. Like I said, this show does not explain itself. Anyway, so she picks him up, and because of his amnesia, he sort of just has brain damage. Like, he has completely forgotten literally everything. He's forgotten how money works. He forgot how to speak. He owns a sword, but he can't use it, which leads to a running gag where he keeps getting eaten by monsters. So he is basically a sort of little baby running around in a man body that's being taken care of by his keeper elf, who's there for some reason. Anyway, a fox lady ends up replacing the princess of the country for some unknown purpose, and she's releasing horrible shadow monsters, which are like corrupting people and seemingly taking their place and absorbing their energy for some unknown purpose. The show doesn't get into it. I actually think that's more of the show hasn't gotten far enough in the plot to get into it. I don't think that's an issue with the show not explaining itself, but the major thing that's going on in this show, the major issue, is that we don't really know what's the goddess's position. We don't really know anything about the main characters. I assume you know all of this if you played the original game, so I think this is mainly supposed to be play the game advertisement, but this is a sequel to a different game, so I guess you are supposed to know all this going in, but if you're an anime only, you are fucking baffled by what is happening. But anyway, that's the background plot, which the show does delve into. The upfront main plot that the show itself is actually focusing on, however, is a lot easier to digest. Basically, it takes place in a kingdom that's name I don't fully remember. It's like Lizdal or something. The princess has gone missing. The real princess has gone missing. No one's seen her forever, but obviously the fox lady's replaced her. We already addressed that. And there are adventuring groups, which are called guilds, that take on quests for what can only be seen as the real adventuring guild, so I don't know why they decided to call what is essentially parties guilds, but all of these guilds that work as adventurers have individual goals, sort of like hunters from Hunter x Hunter, where they all have things they specifically focus on. So it's cute elf girl, the main character, and then they pick up a tsundere cat girl who's secretly working for the bad guy, but is internally conflicted about it, and an absolutely batshit superpowered, like, girl who is always hungry, who I won't spoil any of the details about that, I guess. And they end up forming a gourmet guild, which goal is to eat all of the delicious foods in the world. And how they decide this is fucking completely arbitrary, because the fucking superpowered girl is just like, we should form a gourmet guild, and then they do that. They just do that. There's no, like, greater thought process to the specific type of guild they form. It just sort of becomes a thing that they end up going after because they all bond over eating bugs at one point. And that also turns into another running gag in the show where they're always eating bugs. So, here's what I'll say. This show's, like, greater background lore does not delve into it, and so I am left incredibly confused. There also seems to be sort of like a video gamey, computery Matrix aspect to it, because we see at least two characters, what's her name, Claudia and, like, Labyrinth or something like that, both have powers that seemingly have a sort of cyber vibe to them, like sort of glitchy aspect, squares that are often used to represent, like, like computer programs. It's very computery. I don't know what's going on with that. So maybe this whole thing is a simulation or something. Not quite sure. But we see it with at least 2 characters. And so the greater background lore of the universe is not explained at all, but what the show ends up focusing on is sort of the adventures of the Gourmet Guild. Now, the show has another problem with having a lot of characters, because probably this is based off of a gacha game. It's enough that it gets a little hard to keep track of at times. We have the main 4 core cast, but sometimes when they reintroduce certain other characters, if they don't make enough of an impact the first time, I sort of found myself getting lost, being like, who the fuck was this person? I don't remember. It really only happened like once or twice, but there was a Solid Beach episode where I spent my whole time being like, I don't remember Orphanage Lady. I don't remember what she had to do in the earlier parts of the story. The combat never feels particularly tense, but I will say it is pretty well made. The characters never just like beast mode through everything, except for when they occasionally do when the main characters activate their powers. There's some light humor. It's a very sort of like light, slightly comedic action adventure show. It's not bad by any means. I enjoyed it. I liked the cast. I liked the characters, I liked the story, I even liked the setting, even though it didn't explain itself fucking at all. I think the problem I have mostly with the show is that it just does not take enough time to fully explore what's happening. I think if it like took some time to, I need the information, is what I'm saying. I need to know what's going on. I think getting the lost in the confusion and the bloated size of the cast sort of slows it down. It is good, I enjoyed it, but there's just a handful of things that I feel like are really holding it back. Twitch and Discord in the description. I've been Sacrobolic, your envoy of hope. Bye-bye.